Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to a video, and today I'm going to be doing a bench review for this frame, and now this is the OxFPV AcroLite. Now this comes from OxFPV, which is based in the US, and they do cut everything here, and it was designed by my friend Emil. So you get their little business card and a sticker in the little bag, which is nice, as well as you do get a generic battery strap with their name on it, but these are actually quite nice with the rubber backing, and then you have the plastic clip up here. You do also get a bag of a little bit of extra hardware. I'll explain more on that in a minute. So if we take a look at the frame first, this is pretty much going to be my new freestyle quad, since if you follow me on Instagram, you might have known that I lost my Raptor 210 on a mountain. I couldn't find my way back to where I took off, so it went down and we searched but could not find it. So this is a 230mm True X quad that uses a top mount battery. Obviously it does have individual arms, so if we look at that here, you can see they just attach with two nuts and bolts there. You can see that. Unfortunately, it does use the inner bolt to go up into the flight control stack. I wish they would have put this hole in a little bit here and put a nut here, and then left the hole open for the screw to come up from a nylon screw, just like on the Raptor. I think that's a better idea. It lets you keep your flight control stack separate. It doesn't transmit any vibrations that way, and then it would have been nicer to use press fit nuts there. However, with this setup, it's probably not going to be an issue, because all I have to do, I'm going to actually remove this screw and get one that's about 2mm longer here, and I'm just going to screw on the popular little rubber anti-vibration standoffs there, and then I'll be fine, because I will be using a Betaflight F4 on this build. So over the arm itself, you can see it comes out here, and it stays wider at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully you can see that, it's wider, and then it goes to thinner, and that's to be able to fit your separate ESCs on the arm if you wish to do that. And it's 14mm up at the top here, and then at the bottom it goes to 9mm, and it's wider up there to help fit your ESCs, which I just have a Betaflight BL Heli 32 ESC, which I'll be putting on this build. And you can see that it still overhangs just a little bit. These are pretty large ESCs though, 35 amps, but it helps protect it a little bit more. However, I'm going to have to put something under it, like sticky tape, to make sure it doesn't hit anything there, but that's what that's for there. And then obviously the inner stack is 30.5 with 30.5 to fit your flight controller. The standard sizing, this is just the Betaflight F4, which will also be going on here. So if we take a look out at the end of the arm, we just have the pretty common standard 16 by 19 slots cut there, and you can see we do have a lot of material around here. So when we take an impact there, it's not going to be weak, and that's going to be very strong there. So that's really nice, as well as we do have a little bit of motor protection. So when the motor is on here, that's going to be sticking out farther, and that'll take the hit rather than the motor. And I've found little parts sticking out like that to be really effective, because my arms are just absolutely chewed up, but the motors stay fine. And I'll be using the T-Motor F40 Pro 2400 kV on here, the Pro 2 version. And then the arms all come together in the middle and sort of all fit together nice and tight. And there is absolutely no flex in any direction. I cannot get these arms to budge, so it's really nice. They're nice and solid. And of course they are the standard 4mm thick. And if I try to bend it this way across, I can get a little bit of bend, but I have to put a ton of force on there, so that's going to be no problems, and this should be a really durable frame. If we move up front, you can see this does have the standoffs are pretty wide, so you can fit a full-size camera that will be able to fit in there. However, I'm going to be using a micro, so you choose this when you order it. You choose what camera mounts you want, and they're just printed out of TPU. And I got the micro ones, so they just adapt the size down to fit a micro camera in there, which is really nice. Saves 10 grams. And then for the bottom plate, it is 2mm thick right there, as well as the sort of brace plate that sandwiches them together is also 2mm thick. And if we look over here, we do have this other TPU part that's to fit your XT60 to come off and hold that there. So then your battery can plug in, that'll keep it secure and out of the props, so that's really cool, and that should only weigh a few grams, it shouldn't matter too much. As well as in the back, you do have this little TPU mount where you can mount your SMA out of it. However, I'm probably actually not going to use that, just because I'd rather, you can see there's tons of slots for zip ties here, which is really nice, because I prefer to sort of just lay my antenna underneath here and zip tie it down in a few points, obviously underneath the point, and then just give it a slight bend up, and it sticks out the back. I'd rather do that than sort of screw it into this, because that's a little bit more exposed with the connector out here. I'd rather the coax be the only part that's exposed there. And this is a Foxeer Pagoda Pro. There'll be a link in the description as well, and I'm really liking these guys so far. $10, it's a Pagoda, and you're never going to break this thing. So also in the rear, we do have this little sort of extended plate here up on little nylon standoffs. I'm assuming this is for mounting something like your receiver, say just like a typical XSR receiver and video transmitter. You could put it underneath, and on top of that, zip tie it or sticky tape it down. However, I'm not going to be using that. I'll just get rid of that and stick my receiver to the bottom plate and stick the VTX to the top plate. I find that just to be easier, and I'll save a little bit of weight, but it is nice that they give you the option. And then on top, it looks like these might be intended for battery straps here. However, I just end up running around the top plate. I don't use these strap holes anyways, so that's what that looks like. Very nice, good weight reduction. So this is called the AcroLite, so it is supposed to be a pretty decently light frame. So let's see, we do have a lot of extra parts and hardware on here, so let's see what we come out to. So it is at 117 grams, hopefully you can see that there. But that does include this extra back section, this mount, and if I take a look at all these screws in the top plate, these screws are all steel, by the way. They're not aluminum or titanium, so it's going to add a little bit of weight, but it's going to be super durable, which is more important in a freestyle frame. But if we take a look at these screws in the top plate, they're all 10 millimeters long, which is why they give you this bag with the standard 6 millimeters and then these little washers if you want to use them. I'm actually going to swap all these out for the 6 millimeter ones, because in my experience with using steel screws, they don't need to be super long, and 6 millimeters, 4 millimeters going into the standoff is enough, especially for a top plate. So I'm going to go through and replace all the screws with the extra ones they give you, remove this back section, remove the VTX antenna, and then we'll get a weight with how it's going to be when I'm going to fly it. Alright, so there we go. I have all the 10 millimeter screws swapped out, as well as I removed the little VTX mount piece. So now let's get a weight on this guy. I'm hoping it's closer to around 100 grams. So 107 grams. So we did drop 10 grams there, so I'm happy with that. I wish this was just a little bit lighter, but 107 is certainly not bad for a freestyle quad. These standoffs actually are 28 millimeters high there, so that's nice that they're not, it's still going to give you plenty of room to build in there. However, it's not as tall as 30 or 35, so it gives you a little bit of a better center of gravity. However, since I'm going to be using the Betaflight F4 board with the separate ESCs, and this just, if you can just see this in here, just fits down super low. I do not need to waste all this room. I'll be using a micro camera, so that'll fit really nice in there. So I'm probably going to try and get some 20 millimeter standoffs in here to drop this down even lower, and that'll drop the weight probably a few extra grams there. So that'll be nice. And as for the GoPro mount, there is a GoPro mount available. I'm not sure how they're going to be distributing it, whether they will sell the file, the mount printed themselves, or the file will be available on Thingiverse, but that just sits up here. And of course, you'd probably want to use some of the 10 millimeter screws to secure that, as well as a washer so you don't completely depress the TPU and destroy it there. So yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the video here, and one of the other great things about this frame is it's really cheap and made in the USA. It's about $50, so it's not over $100 like some other freestyle frames are. So that's definitely really nice, and I will be doing a full build tutorial on this, including some of the electronics that I showed throughout the video here. So stay tuned for that. There will be links down below to the frame as well as the other things I showed. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.